Well, welcome back everybody to your next lesson. I believe this is lesson number 3. We're going to talk about what rich people buy on payday. Now, folks, I'm laying these out to you in order, and there's a reason I'm doing this. Everything leading up to the Mass 12th lesson that's going to change your life. But please, just bear with me as we go along here. Some of this may be old hat to you, some of it may be brand new to you. But we all need to make sure we're on the same exact page going forward. Today we're going to talk about what rich people buy on payday. We're going to talk about assets. This is a very short lesson, but one that you must grasp. It comes into play with everything I'll be teaching you going forward. So with that said, let's get going. By the way, all my lessons are copywritten, so please don't use any part of it without my expressed or implied permission. You'll see in this webinar that, or this video, that I have my picture on here. I don't do that often, but remember, I'm trying to build a relationship with you. You know, build credibility, earn your trust, because I have a lot in store for all of us. And if you guys just bear with me and go forward, you're going to be very excited and happy that you joined this club. With that being said, I want you guys to get out and promote this. If you like my first 2 lessons, 401k scam and the 401k arbitrage, and you buy into that, or at least a portion of that, then you're going to want to go out and share this with your friends so that at least you have something to talk about. And they're going to be want to be a member of this club as we go forward too. You're going to see that. It's all going to come into play. But let's get going, because I don't want to make this one too long. The last 2 are an hour, so let's keep this a little shorter. So first of all, who are the middle class? Well, according to Pew Research, they define the median middle class income as $70,000 annually. Now this income range is for the middle class, and it's pretty wide, anywhere from about $40,000 to $120,000 in 2011. The bad news is that incomes have been dropping lately for the first time in American history. So about 51% of all adults fall in this middle class range. A large percentage fall below this. It may be hard for you to understand, but they do. And a very small percentage make more than this. Let's start off with some definitions to make sure we're on the same page. First, what's income? Now this is pretty stupid. I understand. You probably know what income is. It's money that you bring in. But this can come from a variety of sources. It's money that flows into your household. Let's talk about expenses. This is money you spend that flows away from you, out of your household. So far this is simple enough, right? What are liabilities? Well, it's money you owe. However, liabilities has many more meanings than that. Many more than what we're taught. Future debt is a liability. For instance, if you're a student in college right now, which I hope we have a lot of college students on here, you may have taken out student loans. Well, it doesn't go on your ledger sheet yet, but it's a future liability, so it is a liability. Bad health is a liability. So take care of your health. I mean, it limits what you can do to produce income. Stupidity is a liability. Lack of education is a liability. And I'm not talking about a college degree. Remember, guys, I'm big on common sense. I just want you guys to think logically and use common sense. Okay? Basically, anything that impedes your success is a liability. Poor perception and believing everything you're told is a huge liability. You know, everything that's put on the internet's not true. I got news for you guys. In fact, I'd venture to say that 70 to 80% of it's false, liable. But for this discussion going forward, let's just focus on liabilities as money you owe. And what are assets? And this is my favorite subject, because accountants and financial planners will tell you that assets are things you own, and I disagree wholeheartedly. I don't only disagree, it's a fallacy. It's not true. The true definition of assets are tangible or intangible things that produce an income. Going forward, I need you to buy into this. Assets are something that produce an income. So let's explore this in more depth. Okay, we all start our adult life within 4 quadrants, and this will last us until we die. Okay, we have assets, we have income, expenses, and liability. Now, if you're buying into what I'm telling you, assets will produce income. So let me ask you, is your job an asset? Absolutely. Your job, whether you work for someone or you work for yourself, is an asset. If you work for someone, it's an asset you do not control. See, the key is taking control of your assets. In fact, the key that everything I'm going to be teaching you going forward is to start taking control of your life and being accountable, because that will change your life. Okay, so a job as an asset. Is a college degree an asset? Well, yes and no. I have a college degree and I've never used it my entire life. I've never pulled it out of its box. I don't even know where it's at today, or my transcripts. But if I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, I would need that degree to get a job. And that job, and we're told our whole life a college degree will give us more, provide us with more income as opposed to people that don't have a college degree. Again, one of those averages and statistics I don't buy into because, as you guys probably know, the majority of the wealthiest people in the world do not have college degrees. But anyway, a college degree may or may not be an asset. Okay? Remember, going forward, assets produce income. Now, we take our income and we pay our expenses that are tied to our liabilities. Your gas bill is a liability. If you want to have gas in your house, even though you haven't signed a long-term note, it's a liability because you need gas and electricity and water in your home or apartment. It's a liability that you have to account for, but you'll never see that on a balance sheet or a net worth sheet. And I'm going to show you, this is probably the most surprising and best part of all, how you can turn liabilities into assets. That's how wealthy people play the game. If they have a liability, they will turn it into an asset, which produces income to pay their expenses. Their expenses pay their liabilities, which turn into more assets. So let's take a traditional look at a net worth sheet. This is what financial planners, bankers, and everything will, have you fill out to see what your net worth is. Let's go through this. And I'm just making some assumptions. First of all, let's say you have a home that's worth $300,000 fair market value, and you owe $200,000. You have an underlying loan on it for $200,000. So you have equity, the difference in what you owe and what your home is worth of $100,000. Then you have a car, let's say that's $50,000 fair market value, but you owe $30,000 on it. So you have $20,000 in equity. Now let's keep in mind, cars are a depreciating asset. They go down in value over time. Homes recently have been a depreciating asset, but traditionally they keep up with inflation. They appreciate over time. Let's say you have another depreciating asset, a boat for $20,000, and you owe $10,000, so you have $10,000 in equity for your boat. Now remember, in this column here, this is what your fair market value of that asset is today, and as you know, those values change daily, up or down. Okay? Then let's say you have $50,000 in mutual funds in your 401k or your IRA that you've paid cash for, obviously, so you have zero liability, so you have $50,000 worth of equity. You bought $10,000 worth of bonds with cash, so you have $10,000 in equity. You have $30,000 in stocks you paid cash for, that's $30,000 in equity, and you have an annuity for $30,000 that you paid cash for, so that's $30,000. These are your investments. And once again, these values will change daily. So in your asset column, you have $490,000 with total liabilities, what you owe, of $240,000, which gives you total equity or a net worth of $250,000. But net worth is useless. I've explained and alluded to in previous videos that you're going about this retirement plan in all run because you're trying to accumulate assets, when in the long run, all that matters is income, cash flow. For example, does any of these assets produce $1 of income? Not right now. And if you want your mutual funds, your bonds, your stocks, your annuities to produce income in the future, then you have to liquidate them. You have to cash them in and convert them to cash to produce income. Even if you're living off the interest from your mutual funds, that just means they buy more mutual funds, so you have to liquidate the mutual funds to turn it into cash. All these people with this doom and gloom about assets to buy that protect you from inflation or hedge you against the coming disaster of America, there's still a lot of them talking about buying assets like this that do not produce cash. Even if you buy gold and silver, you will have to convert it to cash to produce what it is that you're after, which is income. So doesn't it stand to reason to accumulate assets that produce income from the start? Not this route. For example, an annuity, when you want to annuitize this, did you know you're just handing over your annuity, your cash, to the insurance company? You will no longer have an annuity. They go into a contract with you with payment periods. And we'll talk about annuities in different lessons. Stocks, you have to cash out stocks. So there you have $250,000 in equity, but not cash flow. So here's a misnomer, myth, and false perception, one of the biggest ones out there. If you read your Susie Orman books, your David Bach books, your Dave Ramsey books, all these so-called financial gurus who, by the way, do not practice what they preach. they do what I'm sharing with you. They don't do the things they're telling you to do. But every single one of them to a T will say that the biggest investment and the place you must start is by buying your own home. Now, I'm not here to tell you not to buy a home. I'm here to tell you to quit thinking of your home as an asset. Because it's not. Not if you put it in the definition of what we've been talking about. It does not produce income. Here's a fair market value of your home for $300,000. And you have a loan balance of $200,000, giving you equity of $100,000. Okay, but you still have a loan payment on the $200,000. You still must pay property taxes annually. You still must pay hazard insurance annually. You may have HOA dues. And you obviously have monthly maintenance, which is the one that people never talk about, that will eat you alive in the long term. Now, I have a report I'll be happy to send you that I kind of put out for first-time home buyers. If you're going to buy your first home, how to build wealth. Because I'm not opposed to buying a home. I'm just saying it's not right for everybody. Here's a kicker. I don't own a home right now. Now, I've owned a lot of homes in the past. But right now, I rent, and you'll see why in a moment. Because my life circumstances changed. So what happens if you pay off this loan? That's what you're told to do, pay off your loan. So now you have a zero loan balance, so your loan payment disappears. Well, if it's not outgoing, then it's income. So I buy into that. So now you have a home worth $300,000, however, and you have $300,000 of equity. How much income is that equity producing? Zero. Not one penny. Now you're not putting loan payments out, so you can say, well, I was paying $1,000 a month, I'm not now, so I have $1,000 of extra income. And that would be true. But you still have property taxes. You still have hazard insurance, whoops. You still have HOA dues and monthly maintenance. So even when your home is totally paid off, free and clear, doesn't that represent a liability? You have money going out on this home every day. Now I understand you need a place to live, and if you rented, you'd have that same thing going on for you. I know all the arguments out there, but down the road in a lesson, when we come back to this, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to show you what you can do. Now, let me share with you why I don't own a home now and how I turned a liability into an asset. And this is just one example. I have lots of ways I'm going to show you to do this. This was back when my wife and I first got married. We just had our twin daughters. And as you know, I am now divorced, and my twin daughters are in college, even though, as you know, I'm not a big college fan. Okay? But it was their choice, not mine. I gave them the pros and cons, and I let my daughters make their decision, just like I'm doing with you guys. I show you my side of the story, you know the other side of the story, and I want you to come to your own conclusions. Well, anyway, our first home purchase, well, it wasn't a purchase at all. We rented this home with an option to buy it within 2 years. And our rent at the time was, I think, about $800 per month. And we locked in the purchase price. Now, this was a couple of decades ago. I mean, I've been divorced 3 years. Was married 22, so this is over 25 years ago. About 25, maybe, yeah, about 19 years ago. We locked the purchase price in at $135,000. So we had the right to buy that house for $135,000 over the next 2 years. And at that time, real estate prices in the Denver area were pretty stagnant. But we also wrote in our agreement that we had the right to improve the property as long as the owner pre-approved the project. She wasn't going to approve us painting walls purple or anything, I assure you. But we also agreed to handle all the maintenance. In other words, if our hot water tank broke down, we would handle it. Now, as a renter, you normally don't handle things like that. This is the biggest problem with being a landlord, dealing with maintenance. So we took that off her plate, which gave her a sigh of relief. So all of a sudden, all these other terms became nicer to her. And then we said we had the right to sell without purchasing. She didn't know what that meant, and you don't even have to put that in the agreement, but we put it in there because we didn't know better back then. So we moved into this home. All we improved on this property was we did the floors. I put hardwood floors throughout the kitchen and in this family area, okay? And we put new carpet in the main level. It cost us about $4,000. In 12 months, we sold that property for $165,000 with no real estate agent. So there's no commissions to pay. So right there's a $30,000. Remember, we had the right to purchase for $135,000. We sold it for $165,000. So we did a simultaneous closing where we collected $165,000 and we paid the person we were renting the property from for $135,000. So we walked away after repairs. After all rent payments, in other words, I recouped all my rent payments with $16,400. So essentially I lived there for free and still walked out of that property with $16,000. I challenge any one of you to tell me or show me where you have done that with a property you own. It doesn't happen. You may get lucky. It may be a fluke, but it doesn't happen. Now, we had the ability, because our kids were young, to do this. We didn't need the stability that some of you may need. And that's the position I'm in with my life now. I don't care if I continue to live in Denver. I don't care if I move back to Florida or to Vegas or California. I'll move anywhere. And I got news for you. These deals are everywhere and in every price range. You know what? Here's the secret to life. Somewhere along the line, we quit being kids. We quit asking. All I got to do is ask, would you willing to do this? All you're going to get is a yes or no. They're everywhere. Now this happened all because I took control of the asset. Just like your boss has control of your asset, your job. And I did this with no loan, no credit check. I only gave her a $1,000 security deposit, which I got returned, and I properly structured the lease agreement. Now guys, this whole course is not about real estate investing, even though we are going to go into that quite a bit. We're going to go into all kinds of investing, because I'm going to show you how to invest in real estate that you haven't even thought of, passively, that won't cost you anything. But this is just one example of how I turned a liability into an asset, all because I took control of somebody else's asset, just like Wall Street's doing with your assets. They control your assets. Just like your boss controls your job. Now here's an idea. This will work for many of you, and it's called the college plan. Okay? Now, let's do some owning assumptions. Let's say you can purchase a home for $200,000 and you get a 30-year loan at 4% amortized. Okay? You put 5% down or $10,000, which is FHA, and you can put 3% down, but I just put 5%. Your kid co-signs on the loan, and your kid is going to live in the property. Now this is an area your kid's going to go to college. Now here's something that all of you need to consider. So if you're a college kid, you talk to your parents. But it can also be an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a grandparent. Anybody that has an interest in you can do this program with you. So if your parents say no, go to your uncle or aunt that likes to invest. Or if you're an aunt or an uncle, see if your nephew or niece wants to do something like this. Don't limit yourself. Think outside the box. So you take out an FHA loan, and because the child, I'm sorry, I shouldn't call a college kid a child, because the kid is going to live in the property, it's not considered an investment property. As long as the kid co-signs, which is positive because the kid can start building their credit. So after you put the $10,000 down, in reality this would be more like a $6,000 down payment. You can even reduce that more. Remember, that's your investment. Remember, you can get that from your 401k. Okay? You have a loan balance of $190,000. Let's say you have $2,000 in annual property tax, $800 in annual hazard insurance. Your monthly insurance premium, which is one of the negatives to FHA, which isn't a negative, which I'll show you later, is $80 monthly. Let's say you have a $35 monthly HOA, and you average $100 in maintenance. So it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in this college town that your nephew, niece, son, or daughter is going to live in, or granddaughter, or grandson. Your total monthly payment, well, principal and interest, taxes, insurance, hazard insurance, MIP, everything added together is $1,355. Now your kid is going to be able to rent each bedroom out for at least $500, depending on depends on the area. So the kid is going to find 3 renters. Okay? Now, the kid that's co-signed on loan is going to live rent-free, but must handle the management and must handle all the maintenance. So you're collecting $1,500 in rents every month. The home should appreciate in value, so you build equity that way. So you're taking in a positive monthly cash flow, and you're building equity. Now, you could sell the property when the kid graduates or find 4 more renters for $2,000 a month. Again, the kid is building their credit, and you reinvest the overage, the difference between what you're collecting in rent and what you owe on what your liability is, in different places I tell you to, or show you. Now the bottom line is, guys, you could probably rent for $300 to $400 for each student and double them up in a bedroom, because it's still cheaper than the dorms, and it gives them more freedom, which is what they want anyway. So you could increase this $1,500 to $2,000 easily. This is the college plan, and it's my humble opinion that if you qualify for an FHA loan, of course, your credit doesn't have to be as good as it does with a traditional loan, or conventional loan, I should say. Okay? Whether it's a brother, sister, it doesn't matter. You should try to do a plan like this, because you can get into it for 3% down with closing costs and everything. You may be out $10,000, which you have sitting in your 401k plan anyway. You borrow. Who cares? It's an asset you're going to control. It's a great place to start. So if you need help to how to structure deals like these, in these previous slides, just reach out to me. Okay. Again, the strategy is perfect for college students. It's a great way to boost the start of your life. All right. You have 4 years, and the most you can lose is your rents. Rent you're going to pay anyway. Okay. It should be known that these deals must be actively searched out. They aren't just laying around. You're going to have to do a little legwork and talking. Okay. All right. Let's get into what poor people buy on payday. Poor people buy stuff, junk, trinkets. I do not mean to offend anybody that's in this club, but you're here for a reason. You're trying to get educated. But if your house looks like this, then you're spending money like a poor person, or you are poor. If you walk into someone's mobile home and all you see is stuff from eBay laying all around, then you know they don't have the rich mentality, the wealth building mentality. That's what poor people buy on payday. What do middle class people buy on payday? Middle class people, most of you watching this, buy current liabilities. You go out and you buy a home, which I just showed you somewhat is a liability. Trust me, when I'm done with you, you'll understand your home's a liability. It's not a great investment. In fact, it's a poor investment. You'll buy your car, which is a depreciating asset. Okay, you'll go on vacation. You'll buy a boat. You'll invest in a 401k plan, which, if you buy into what I said in the first lesson, 401k scam is a liability. You're in business with the government. And until you cash it out, there's no cash flow. It's a liability. That's what middle class people buy, hoping all this stuff's going to bring them joy to their life or increase their net worth over time. And as you've seen, net worth is meaningless. And you'll see that in an upcoming lesson. How your net worth is meaningless to how comfortable you're going to be in retirement. Wealthy people buy assets on payday. Not just, and now remember, we're talking about assets that produce income. And then they take that income and buy more assets. And they grow their wealth. The example of the college property is buying an asset that produces income, taking that income, reinvesting it to buy more assets that produce income. It's a vicious circle that spirals you exponentially into wealth. Here's some examples of income producing assets. Real estate investments, not the home that you live in, because the income's rental income. A business that produces profits, dividend paying stocks, cyber properties, oil and gas wells. I have many more examples of assets that produce income as we go along here. These are the type of assets you should be buying. They produce the income, which you in turn turn around and buy more assets. Because then all this stuff comes anyway. See, most Americans will spend their entire working lives sacrificing to save money for their kids, college education, and saving for retirements. And it is sacrificing. This is what you were taught to do. You'll spend your entire working lives sacrificing to save money. If you could save just $10,000 a year, it would take you 24 years to save a $240,000 asset. Not the way I'm defining an asset. To produce $240,000 worth of net worth. If you could save $10,000 a year, it would take 24 years to get that high. And if you could earn 10% interest on that $240,000, and as you've seen before, that's a big if you're in the markets. if you're in mutual funds, 401ks, that's a huge if, that would produce you $24,000 a year of income for life, or $2,000 a month. There you have it. What takes some people an entire lifetime to build, $240,000, and most people that I meet have never achieved it, you can do in 1 year, starting right now while you're still in college, or as a young adult, or if you're 50 or 60 years old. You can build a $240,000 asset within 1 year. Simply start a business. Work smart, follow direction, use leverage, and get your business to produce $2,000 per month on autopilot, meaning you don't have to be there to produce income. You're earning residual income, and we'll go into this in other lessons. Okay? If you have a business producing you $2,000 a month in income residually on autopilot, that's the equivalent of saving $240,000 and receiving a 10% interest on it. And I ask you, what do you think is going to be harder? Do you think it's harder to save $240,000 or to start a business that can produce $2,000? I'm here to tell you, starting a business that produces $2,000 a month can easily be done in a year, and every single one of you watching this with a little bit of gumption can do it. Every single one of you. And I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you all kinds of different ways to produce $2,000 a month. Some of you may like network marketing. We're going to explore network marketing. Some of you may hate network marketing, so we're going to look at other things. I'm going to show you how to make money, $2,000 a month on eBay, simple. I'm going to show you how to make $2,000 a month on investments. Okay? Look, you could either have your business and keep your business so you're producing $2,000 a month, or you could sell your business and they would line up to buy it. You could sell your business in a month for $120,000 because that's a 20% return on the person's money that bought it. If you have a business producing $2,000 per month, you can easily sell it for $240,000 because that's a 10% return on the purchaser's money, and they will line up to do that. But it's important to realize that this business must be able to operate with or without your presence. This business model must produce residual income, and that's what we'll explore. And here's the great news. Starting a business does not have to put a strain on your pocketbook, your time, or energy. Running your own investment business for your investments is a business. And as I said, I'm going to be sharing many, many ways to make extra money as we progress. We just need to find the one that suits your personality. As I said, network marketing is great for some people. For the majority of people, it's not. Some of you should be in network marketing. Some of you should avoid it like the plague. I'm also going to do some live webinars where I'm going to pick random people that attend, and we're going to find out what you're passionate about and brainstorm and come up with what type of business you can start. But here's the kicker, and you'll learn this in future lessons. You need to be patient. You need to accept and get joy out of baby steps. If you are patient, it will happen. I'm living proof, and I'll tell you all about that in future lessons. You just need to find a business that's well suited for you. So what's the next step? So now you know how we're going to define assets going forward. Okay. The next step is we're going to simplify this whole business starting idea. It's really simple. But remember, I have to lay the foundation before I can start sharing investment ideas and powerful strategies with you. So keep an open mind. Guys, we're going through this as a process. Don't panic. Don't freak out. First of all, I know every single one of you has thought about owning your own business. Hell, we were doing it when we were paper boys or girls, when we were selling lemonade, when we were walking around the neighborhood selling candy bars. You and I both know that running your own business is the only way to freedom. You just haven't been shown how to do it. And you got this grandiose idea that I have to quit my job, I have to No, guys. Some of you may go that far with it. Most of you may get a business that generates an extra $100 a month, and that's exactly what I'm trying to get out of you. We just need a business for you that produces an extra $50, $100, $200, $500 a month. And everything else will take care of itself. And finding a business that creates that kind of money is as easy as going to the flea market one day a week or one day a month. I mean, there's a smorgasbord of opportunities to make that kind of money. Some of you will make thousands of dollars. It will become your career. Most of you, and I'm being totally transparent, We are just trying to get you to make an extra $100 to $150, $200 a month. And that is easy. So don't panic now. I got all kinds of ideas and ways for you to do that. Will it take a little time? Yeah. But remember, I set up residual income streams. So what you do today, you get paid tomorrow, and next month, and next year. So if you put in the time now, you'll be rewarded forever. Anyway, told you this lesson was short. Stay on path with me. Make sure you keep the same definition of assets as we go forward. Understand you need to quit buying trinkets. Quit thinking of these nice purchases you make as some kind of great planning, that your 401k is an asset because it's on paper as an asset. It doesn't produce income. And I'll see you in about 5 days. In the meantime, reach out to me anytime you like, and please leave a comment below. See you guys. I enjoyed it, and make sure you watch my little videos at the bottom. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.